Hi, this is Seb from Cinema 5D, and today I'm reviewing the new Canon C200, the camera that hit the cinema market like this. Last week Canon announced the C200, the latest camera of their cinema line, and it shoots 4K RAW at a price of $6,000, which of course is very interesting news for everybody who wants to shoot high quality video at an affordable price. So many of us were wondering how good the RAW recording of this camera actually is, and I had the chance to shoot with the camera for a couple of hours and recorded a lot of RAW and MP4 footage with it, so I got a very good idea of what the camera can and cannot do. I went out with a tripod, a 50mm cine lens and a 100mm macro, and put the camera through its paces on a day with harsh sunlight, wind and rain. At first I did not have high hopes for the RAW coming from this camera because while recording it just did not feel like shooting RAW, as this camera is just so ergonomic and so easy to use. But back at the editing desk I noticed that the footage coming from this camera can be taken very seriously. It did not matter if I underexposed or overexposed, I could always get back all the information from the picture. I really played around with exposure, but I don't have a single frame that I could not get to match with the rest of the footage. Also in terms of noise, because the image is really clean and very, very nice. Also, I could really get any look I wanted with the 12-bit RAW files I shot. So that was really nice to see that there is so much information there. If you want to see more footage in 4K, please follow the link in the description for the separate video, and if you can, do make sure you watch it on a 4K screen. The base ISO of the Canon C200 is 800, and I shot all my footage at this setting, because just as on the Arri Alexa, it is recommended to stay at ISO 800 and not go lower, as this would decrease dynamic range. What impressed me was that even when I pulled up the dark areas of the image, there was very little noise, and the overall image always looked organic and very pleasing, and this is not something that every camera can do. So from my side there is a clear recommendation for this camera. At the moment I don't see any other camera at this price point that can deliver the same kind of quality or has the same kind of ergonomics, because if you're familiar with cameras from Canon's EOS cinema line, these are very well built and very easy to use. So on the C200 you get a touchscreen display with very reliable autofocus and 10 stops of ND, which they achieve with 2 separate filter stages, so you can shoot wide open even on very bright days without the need for an extra filter. Canon made very good cinema cameras before, but they were always kind of reserved when it came to features at low prices. But I don't know what happened. It seems like Canon has shifted their strategy overnight, which of course is a great thing for us, the filmmakers. One thing that is weird about the C200 is that besides 12-bit and 10-bit RAW, it only shoots MP4 at the moment. So this is an H.264 codec that records at 150 megabits per second. And this is a very low-end codec, not really suitable for a professional cinema camera. So those people who don't want to shoot RAW because the workflow required or storage space is too much, don't really have a good option in the middle right now. In defense of the C200, I must say that after testing the MP4 integration, I feel like this works much better than you might think. So the MP4 files have less dynamic range, they are more mushy, the image is softer, there is some slight macro blocking visible in the footage, but overall the image is very, very usable. The camera records MP4 in Ultra HD, 8-bit 4:0, and for me the images do look very, very nice in comparison to other cameras that record 8-bit. And I think they can still be quite useful for documentary style shooters. If you want 4:2 or 10-bit though, you will have to move on to Canon C300 Mark II, which is currently priced a lot higher than the new C200. Or you go for Panasonic's new EVA 1, which is also very interesting in that regard. Speaking of which, the C200 also shoots slow motion at up to 120 frames per second. This of course is very useful, although I wish it would shoot 240 frames in 2K like the EVA 1. The C200 uses the full sensor to shoot slow motion and then downsamples the image to HD, and the footage I shot looks nice to me. It's not a soft slow motion image like on so many other cameras, but it is a crisp and very useful slow motion. The only thing to mention is that I had aliasing and moire artifacts in several images I shot, so this is a downside you should know about when you go for this camera. Other than that, I really enjoyed working with the C200. It is relatively lightweight, has all you need built into a very compact and rugged body. The Cinema Raw light produces beautiful images in true cinema quality, that'll go wild in grading, yet the file size is reduced to about a third of conventional uncompressed RAW. The workflow is easy, even with Canon's companion app when you transcode to Apple ProRes 4444, but soon all major apps should support the new RAW format natively. And the fact that this camera starts at $6,000 for the body only is truly surprising and seems almost like a no-brainer when it comes to which camera I should work with. So I think about any project I have coming up and I want this camera to be on board. How about you? Let us know in the comments on Cinema 5D. And if you want to find out more about the Canon C200, please read my article where I wrote down a lot more details. So that's it for the Canon C200. Thank you for watching and I see you in the next one.